First and foremost, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Yahweh is to this world ignorantly calls God. Yahushai is to this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Ba'ashem means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Today's video, I just wanted to go over Joel the 3rd chapter and just pretty much break down the entire chapter and what it's talking about. So let's get straight into it. This is Joel chapter 3, and it says, "The nations will be judged." Verse 1, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem." Right, and this is talking about the salvation, right? In that time, talking about the end times. Okay, this is talking about Yahushua coming back and gathering his elect from the four winds. Right, let me actually get this Bible here just because it makes my life easier searching it up. But when you go in the New Testament, it says that in Matthew chapter 24 and verse 30 it says, "And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other." Right, that's exactly what we just read in Joel the 3rd chapter and verse 1, just in a different way. "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem," right, all 12 tribes. Because whether you believe it or not, the Israelites, starting with the so-called Latinos, Negroes, and Native Americans, we are still in captivity, right? It's just that this time it is under the hand of the Edomites, right? The so-called Europeans, so-called Americans, so-called white man. And Yahushua is going to come back to save us from the hand of our enemies. Another scripture comes to mind, and I'll use this Bible just so I don't get the other one off topic. In Jeremiah chapter 16 and verse 14, it says, "Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north," talking about North America, Babylon the Great, "and from all the lands whither he had driven them," right? Because we've been scattered throughout the entire earth. That's part of the curses it talks about in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. It says, "And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers." Right, so he's going to be the one that brings us back to the Holy Land. And there we're going to dwell there forever and ever and ever in peace. And we're going to be immortal. Okay, that's part of the covenant, the second covenant that the Lord has promised to his chosen people, the Israelites. So going back to Joel chapter 3, verse 2, it says, "I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and pardon my land." Right, and this is talking about World War III. Okay, it says that the Lord, he is going to be the one that gathers all nations, right? Because whether you understand or not, all these presidents, right, whoever comes into presidency November 12th, it's the will of the Lord, right? Whatever Russia does against Ukraine, it's the will of the Lord, right? Whatever Israel attacks Iran back, it's the will of the Lord, right? The Lord is the one in control of everything, right? And right now, slowly but surely, he's making it so all these nations go to war. And it says in the valley of Jehoshaphat, which it says Jehoshaphat, right? It's supposed to say Jehoshaphat, which is talking about over there in the so-called Middle East. Okay, Saudi Arabia. That's where World War III is going to take place. And he is the one that is getting these nations in that war mentality to bring forth the prophecies. He says, "And I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations, and pardon my land." Right, so he's going to plead with them. He's going to deal with them for what they have done to his chosen people. Okay, That's why these other nations are going to get judged, because they have fucked over his chosen people over and over and over again. And every single nation has had a bidding in destroying the Israelites. Okay, every single nation. Let's get another scripture going into this. Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 8, it says, "Therefore wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger. For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy." Right, so that's the Lord's determination. His will, his mission is to gather the nations and destroy them. Okay, that's straight to the point. So, verse 3, it says, "And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink." Right, going into how these nations have had us in slavery. Right, they're selling boys for prostitutes, selling girls for wine. Okay, we were just seen as possessions. Okay, merely 200 years ago, 300 years ago, right, the so-called black man, a Negro, was seen as 2/3 of a human. Right, go search that up on Google. Right, it's there, historical facts. But it says, "Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border." Right, and what we just read right there from verse 4 to verse 6 is talking about the transatlantic slavery. Okay, when the so-called Africans with the so-called Arabs sold the Negroes over there in Africa, which are Israelites, to the so-called white man, the Grecians, the Edomites. Okay, that's the biblical historical prophecy of why that happened. Right, it was already written before it happened. So let's actually explain that further. Okay, so in verse 4 it says, "Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine?" Right, the coast of Palestine is talking about those Arabs. And when it says Zidon, Tyre and Zidon, when you go into that word Zidon, right, you go into the blue letter, it says Zidon, the son of a, right here, Zidon, the name of a son of Canaan. Right, so Zidon is talking about the lineage of the Canaanites. Right, and Canaan was a son of Ham. Right, goes back to the lineage of Ham, which Ham was one of the sons of Noah. Right, and when you go into the history, the Bible, of who the Hamites are today, you search up Ham in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, and it tells you right here. This is, if you were to get the dictionary and go to Ham, this is what it says. Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Right, so right there, it gives you a distinction. Right, and let me just explain it simply. Those so-called black people, so-called Africans over there in Africa that chase lions and eat blood, right? They are Hamites, okay? They are not Israelites. There's a difference. That's why it says the progenitor of the dark races, not Negroes. Because the Negroes, the so-called black man here in America, they go back to Shem, okay? They are Israelites, not Hamites. We're different people, even though they look the same. Both dark-skinned, but go back to different ancestors, lineages. So I brought all that out to point to the fact that when it's talking about Zidon, right, it's talking about those Hamites, those Africans, real dark-skinned Africans, which it says in verse 6, "The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Right? And like I said, this is talking about transatlantic slavery. And hey, when we go into the names and who partook in it, is exactly what history says. Right? That's why a lot of people can never understand when you go into those Negroes that were sold to the white people, you guys sold each other. Right? Black people sold other black people. Wrong. The Hamites sold the Israelites to the Edomites. That's the biblical names and understanding, and exactly the way it's been prophesied. It says that ye might remove them far from their border. Right? Our border was Jerusalem. Right? Israel. Okay, and where were we took? All across the Atlantic Sea, Atlantic Ocean, over to the Americas, to the Grecians. Right? Grecians means Greeks. Who are the Greeks? Pale white people, which are Edomites. So I went over that over and over and over again to just really drill it. But when you go into actually Deuteronomy, let's go back to the basics. The transatlantic slavery was prophesied in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. Part of the curses. It says, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now let's break it down. It says, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now when it's talking about Egypt, okay, it's talking about America. Okay, it's talking about Babylon the Great. Right? And the way you know that is because when you go into Revelation, the 11th chapter, and verse 8, it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Right? So it says that that great city is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Babylon the Great is spiritually called Egypt. And we know that Babylon the Great is talking about America. So America is spiritually called Egypt. So going back to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, it says, and the Lord, let's put it in English terms. And Yahweh shall bring thee into America again with ships. Now, another part of when it's talking about Egypt, okay, Egypt in the scriptures is also symbolic for slavery, for bondage. Right? When you go into search up house of bondage, Exodus chapter 13 and verse 14, it says, and it shall be when thy son asketh thee in time to come, saying, what is this? That thou shalt say unto him, by strength of hand the Lord brought us out from Egypt, from the house of bondage. Another one, Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Right? So in multiple scriptures, you can see that Egypt is symbolic for house of bondage, for slavery. Right? So if you want to go the other way, which both are talking about America, again, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Right? The Lord is going to bring you into slavery again, but this time by the way of ships. Okay? That's why when you search up a transatlantic slavery, okay, that's why part of this captivity, why it was so severe, was those ships. Go read history on the diseases and the circumstances that our people were in to come to the Americas. Transatlantic slave trade. Okay, you look at the pictures, they were called pretty much like sardine boats. Okay, look at this right here. This is historical. Plan of lower deck with the storage of 292 slaves, 130 of these being stowed under shelves as shown in figures. Right, so they were literally put in like rows, right, to fit the most amount of slaves that they could get in there. Right, that's why it refers to the ships, because they were part of that curse. Right, part of that curse was that this right here. Terrible conditions, torture. So it says, and again, Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. Right, talking about the Holy Land. It says, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Right, so we were going to be sold as slaves. That's what bondmen and bondwomen means. And it says, and no man shall buy you. Now, when it's talking about buy here, okay, it's not talking about the normal buying and selling that we think of, right? Because if you look at history, it wouldn't make sense, right? Obviously, we were sold, so there had to be a buyer. There was buyers, those Edomites, right? So when it's talking about buy here, this buy is talking about a different form, right? It's talking about, example, if you're in a bad condition, somebody can say, who is going to buy you out of that situation, right? Going into who's going to save you. Okay, and that's the context here of this word is, hey, no man is going to save you from this condition. No one. The only person that's going to save us is Yahweh Shai. So, all this right here was talking about the transatlantic slavery, which was also quoted in Joel chapter 3 and verse 6. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. That's exactly what we see right here. Children of Judah and Jerusalem sold unto the Grecians. Those guys right there. So, let's keep on in Joel. Verse 7, it says, behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. Right? So, that's exactly what we read in Jeremiah chapter 16. Right? How we were going to be raised from the places where we were sold. Jeremiah, let's go back to it. Jeremiah chapter 16. Right? Where were we sold to primarily? Here in the Americas. What does it say in verse 15? But the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, North America. Okay, the pieces are coming together now. And from other lands whither he had driven them. Right, everywhere else, because we've been scattered. So, it says, behold, I will raise them out of the place where ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. So everything they've done unto us is going to happen to them. Right, that's true justice. And that's what it says in the scriptures. Actually, in the New Testament, it says it in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 10. It says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Right? So the saints, talking about the Israelites, specifically the elect, we're going to be waiting for our enemies to go down so we can go up. Or vice versa, for us to go up so they can go down. Right? So they can go into slavery. And everything they've done unto us is going to happen to them. Right? Don't believe me? Let's get another one. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 16. It says, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord, because they call thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places, and the city shall be builded upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. Right, so that's the whole story right there. Right, as it says that all our enemies, okay, every single one of them is going to go into captivity. They're all going to go into slavery. Okay, and the Lord is going to bring us back to the Holy Land, and we're going to dwell there in peace. So, exactly, I brought that out to go into verse 8. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah. And they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for the Lord hath spoken it. And that's exactly what we just read, right? We're going to have these nations under slavery, and we're going to be able to sell them to whoever we want to. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Right, and that's what we're doing right now, is we're proclaiming this word amongst in the entire world. You got brothers speaking this word, telling these other nations that war is coming, to get ready. Okay, because the only outcome is war. The only outcome is the prophecies, is nuclear destruction on America, is the microchip being mandated worldwide. Verse 10, Be your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Right? So all your farming tools, hey, make those into weapons. Right? And it says, let the weak say, I am strong. Right? This is actually talking about these smaller nations. Right? Because, normally, let's say 1,000 years ago, if you're a small nation and you had to go to war, you were fucked. Right? You wouldn't be able to come against a Rome or a Greek empire. Right? You would be outnumbered. But nowadays, the weaker nations, they themselves also are strong. And the way that is happening is because now a weak little nation can have nuclear capability. And with nuclear capability, they're all on the same playing field. At the press of a button, your whole country is decimated. So that's why it says, let the weak say I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Yehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Right? So, when Yehoshaphat comes back, he's going to be fully justified in his doings. Right? Because the wickedness that is going on in the earth right now is great. Right? It's gone to lengths, to extents that we've never seen before in all of human history. It says, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Right? And the reason that's going to happen, one of the reasons, is those nuclear missiles. Right? When those nuclear missiles touch down, what's going to happen is that it's going to cause a giant mushroom cloud, and all that ash is going to completely cover the atmosphere. Right? When you search up a nuclear winter, search that right there. It says nuclear winter is a theory that describes a severe and prolonged global cooling that could occur after a large-scale nuclear war. It says nuclear explosions create large amounts of dust and smoke that can block sunlight from reaching from Earth's surface. The smoke and dust can come from fires in cities, industrial facilities, and forests. Right? So that's what the main thing is going to happen, is that those nukes are going to completely cover the atmosphere, okay, which is why the sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. It says, the Lord shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But Yahweh will be the hope of his people, and the strength of the children of Israel. So shall he know that I am Yahweh, your God, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no strangers pass through her anymore. Right? This is talking about in the end, when everything's said and done, the Israelites are going to be dwelling in Jerusalem forever and ever and ever. Verse 18, it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk. And all the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters, and the fountain shall come forth of the house of Yahweh, and shall water the valley of Shittim. It says, Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness, for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Right? And what we just read right here is all talking about what these Edomites have done to our people. Okay, primarily 400 years ago, right? Slavery, plantations. It says Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness, which this is also talking about America, right? Because America, like I said earlier, is spiritually called Egypt. Who rules America? The Edomites. It all goes full circle. And let's prove America is going to become a wilderness. When you go into Jeremiah chapter 50, and it's talking about the prophecies against Babylon, aka America, in verse 39, it says, therefore the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the islands shall dwell there, and the owls shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. As God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Yahweh, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. Right? So America is going to be a desert, a straight desert that only the desert animals live here. It's going to be, you could put it in terms, illegal, prohibited for any man to set a foot on this place and to live here. Right? Because it's going to be a sign of the power of the Lord, of the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Right? And the reason it's going to be a desert is because those nuclear missiles are going to completely wipe this place off the map. Let's go back. Joel chapter 3. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness, for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Right? So, because of what these so-called white people, Edomites, did to our people, they're going to have to pay. Right? As it says, they shed innocent blood in their land. When you look at the history of how they just completely slayed, destroyed the Northern Kingdom, aka Latinos, Native Americans, right? Came over here and killed all these Native Americans for nothing, right? For literally nothing. It's wicked as fuck. They got to pay for that. And it was all prophecy, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. But Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I'll cleanse their blood that have not cleansed, for Yahweh dwelleth in Zion. So, that's what we're currently awaiting. And currently, we're seeing it brew up right now. Right? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is gathering the nations to World War III. Doesn't matter in a couple days if Donald Trump gets elected. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is going to put it in their minds to go to war. And in the midst of that war, Yahushai is going to crack the clouds and deal with these nations. And simultaneously, he's going to gather his elect, save the 1/3 of the nation of Israel, make us immortal in a twinkling of an eye, as it says in 1 Corinthians 15. And we're finally going to be at peace. And there's more to what's going to happen, but I'm just going to give it a little rundown. He's going to bring us back to the Holy Land, and everything's going to be at peace. So that was Joel, the 3rd chapter. Hopefully those is edifying. With that, and give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rokak Wadash, and double honors to the other bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to you, like Shalom.